Good evening, Free Enterprise fans, and welcome to this Game 3 between Rhybon and Pyre in the Red Moon Waxing Bracket. I am Dave, and joining me tonight is our restreamer S-Grunt, our tracker Fried Potato, and my co-commentator Judge Joe. How are you doing tonight, Joe?
Doing fantastic. It's been a really nice day for watching Free Enterprise all the way through, and I'm excited to see and commentate on another tough match.
I would agree. We've had some great races so far, and this one shapes up to be another one. These runners both taking a game so far in the series. And I see we've got a Cecil start tonight.
Yeah, Cecil's a pretty solid one. Honestly, can have the most variance in power throughout the seeds. Sometimes you have a Cecil seed where holy swords are just, here's a holy sword. Other times you have the type of party where you just shuffle Cecil to the side and say, you can take a break today.
Well, you know, even the holiest men sometimes need a break from saving the world.
Yeah, but looking at these objectives, pretty solid list. I noticed that sparkles are optional though, so always good for the runners to keep that in mind, that they might not even need to check who the sparkle is, just move along.
I was hoping for, say, a required wyvern somewhere rude, but that's just me.
I'm a fan of wyvern as well. Always fun to see whether their agility setups is good or if they're in a little bit of trouble and need to shuffle and figure it out.
Aside from that, we have Turtle, which could make for a very fun hook route. Antlion, we already know where that is. Antlion's got one place it hangs out.
Somewhere on the moon, but more often than not, crystal sword altars in my experience.
Well, I've said it before. The LST is just one giant cave anyway, so Antlion feels at home there.
Other major ones, if we do go the route of mages, if that's what the seed gives, that Valvalis objective may prove to be a tiny bit worrisome in the future. Many of the late game spots for Val have perfect magic defense where even the strongest of nukes, whites, and meteos do nothing.
It'll be fine. Just get Rydia, Mistwhip, and Zerk away.
And we have Atella. Well, that's one half of the requirement to just accelerate your levels.
And Dark Gimp's giving a pan. So we might see the full fade play from our runners.
Yeah. I don't necessarily expect it, especially with Atella.
That's very true.
Who knows? Maybe one of the runners is feeling a little spicy today. Wants to make a little bit of a play.
Yeah, that's true. With Atella, you kind of want to filter the overworld just in case there's a darkness hanging around.
Yep, and we see both runners have different ideas of where they want the characters. Rhybon going to Watery Pass, a little bit of loot and a character, whereas Pyre goes to the purely character and shop-focused Mysidia, where we find Palom and... Wait a second.
That's a little bit French vanilla. They're flipped.
Well, I might not be surprised if Pyre dives straight into Ordeals, actually. Those are like the best two characters you can possibly find for the early game, thanks to the lovely command twin.
I would agree with that. And you have two other characters who really, really, really want to go into Ordeals.
Yeah. From the Rhybon's looting, I saw Dwarf Axe. Could work as a good anchoring tool for Sid, but with no back row glitch, that's not going to allow you to hit for full damage from, say, a Cane. So
I do like this play from Pyre. You still want to know who your characters are. Yes, you can run up for deals immediately. I personally like to see who I'm playing with.
and Rhybon feeling like he needs more power, also choosing to loot Dempsey in basement. Archer bow isn't awful for the early game. Decent amount of little bit of cash.
Problem is, who in this party is going to wield it? I think all the characters we've seen, only Palom can.
Palom, Porum, both can
Porum
wield it, but Rhybon doesn't have either of those. Is about to go and see our 6th character check, where Pyre looks to be getting started on actual checks.
I think the seed's pointing us in a certain direction. How about you?
It might be hinting a little something. However, Cecil Yang are 2 of the stronger Zerkers we have available. If a Kane shows up, if a Rosa shows up, and if we get a Holy Sword, I suspect that's a key requirement. We still might be seeing some physical fighters throughout the seed. I
would agree with that. We have 2 black mages and a white mage. This seed is screaming, get an early grind and go to power overwhelming.
Yep, and first fight is Mylon Z, using the Cure 3 items that runners in the Red Moon brackets start with to just heal it and tell it go away.
I'm not saying through this fight. We're going to end it in one action, and that's a hook. So you're not fading that Mylon Z.
No siree. And Rhybon equaling out on grabbing the twins. I didn't quite see, but I believe both twins are in the party, having chosen to put Rydia into the tower to hold for future plans.
Right. If I'm holding from slingshot, I'd rather just keep him in the tower than try to keep him down. Less effort, less turns wasted.
And also finding a mute knife, which has a couple roles. It gives a little bit of magic power for Palom. It can also be pretty effective against Ashura, the Mega Sisters that Pyre just reset out of, or even the Elements, which is a required boss, but only the Ruby form of them.
Right, because for some unknown reason, that form of Rubicon's a mage. Why? No.
And Rosa is our final character. 2 white mages, 2 black mages, a punch mage, and a holy sword mage are, along with a sage and Tella, is the characters we have. And Rhybon, knowing all 7 characters, chooses to use the power of Twin, most likely to climb the mountain and gain the Paladin. Well, Pyre continues to kind of follow a bit of vanilla routing and cycle through fast.
Right, Pyre might be just using this to get level 2 elementals on Palom.
Yeah, we may have done unfortunate targeting, but we did Antlion, so we do have Ice 2, I believe is what you get from the first level, Ice 2 and Piggy. However, we very much want to get the rest of the tier 2s to help out our choices.
Hey, we see a blue robe at the first spot. Fortunately, it's just Water Hag. I say fortunately for both the runners and for us, because we'd like a much spicier gauntlet.
I'm a fan of the Crystal Sword Altar Gauntlet.
I can't argue through. That's a fun one. Double blue dragons?
Have you ever seen an Evil Eye?
Okay, never mind. Fatal Eyes are the worst.
And it looks like despite Leviathan's best efforts, Palom has been brought online, and through defeat of a Water Hag, Palom's brought online on both sides.
And just the Gungnir Spear, that's 33,000 gold. that will fund pretty much our adventures for the early game.
Yeah.
Antlion, what are you doing here? This isn't the moon.
Antlion got a little lost, but I mean, isn't Mount Ordeals connected at least a little bit to the moon with Cecil's father talking and all of that?
You're right. Antlion may have, smelled the moon coming from the changing room. Like, here's my destination.
But that'll be our first objective, and in Fabul shops, we saw longswords, which, if we had an edge start, would be a very nice find. But unfortunately, all we have is Cecil.
Antlion showing us this backpack spot, not something to be trifled with. Just punching down Porum.
Yeah. And
this spot also has some good magic defense looking at that flare.
Yeah, unless we just haven't at all, or that hold from forums, that's just a shockingly low roll from what I typically expect out of Flare.
This spot has like 16 or 20 magic defense. It's enough that level 1 elementals can do 1 damage.
But Rhybon gets through the fight. No kamikazes to skip the crumble phase, but I don't know that we would necessarily anyways with the HP totals we had.
Yeah, it's a little low to try to calculate it.
And Pyre, hot on the heels on the ordeal play, however, has checked the entire upper bracket of the overworld with Fabul, Antlion Cave, and Hobbs.
Right, and found a key item that Rhybon's going to need at some point. We get the change room gives us a Baron key, so we got other things to do up here.
Very much so. And even if we don't find darkness, extra checks such as the Baron key and hunting for holy swords should go and guarantee that we end up getting ourselves Link and Quake on the party to help alleviate potential difficulties in the hook route that is forced for these seeds.
And in the changing room, we are, well, confronted by our dark side.
Yeah, in a shocking turn of events, we decide that this time, unlike the vanilla game, in the vanilla game you go there solo, you're given a Cecil, you have no way of actually dealing with it. Plus, the game's scripted in a way that you have to just sort of sit there and let him talk. Now Cecil has his friends casting Flare, powerful twins. Not gonna go and let his dark side talk to him about justice.
Funny enough, I think the removal of the dark command from the vanilla game made it less obvious what you're supposed to do.
And actually, looking at the party, we have, outside of the fact that we have a 5-man party with Yang, have a very near vanilla party for climbing ordeals.
Yes, we do, and we have the party that, if we take this party into Baron Castle, it will be the vanilla party for that.
Always lots of fun when you end up finding these little coincidences. Pyre also using Twin to clear out the Antlion, while Rhybon goes and uses Siren to give an additional initial XP burst to Cecil and help get us Virus and Berserk and much more on our way to Quake and Link.
Yeah, this play has become very, very popular in this tournament, popping at least one Siren on our deals after change room, especially with the Cecil, because it's guaranteed slingshot on him.
Yeah, with the Freedom Kit guaranteeing we have guaranteeing we have a Siren, you know that they're off it, and also with S standard, they're typically for sale. Always good to give a little burst, good amount of XP, pretty easy fight. Healing, fire, or just bonking them typically works. Plus, with the Tela, you know that at least at some point, worst comes to worst, you do have a method of getting your grind on if need be.
Right, but first you need to find the amulets to do that, so that's where the initial levels help.
Correct. And Pyre also refusing to let the Dark Knight talk while Rhybon goes Holy Sword hunting.
To answer a question in chat, you cannot exit out of ordeals. You walk up there, you gotta walk back out. And it wouldn't be a full ordeal if you could just teleport off it halfway through.
Nope. Part of the challenge was walking up with the Dark and walking down with your newly minted level 1 Paladin. All those levels gone.
Got a newly minted level 1 Paladin that conveniently has a weapon that's effective against literally everything up there.
Now, it'll be interesting to see if Pyre continues to finish the overworld checks with Baron in and into Baron, or if Pyre follows in Rhybon's footsteps in chasing potential goodies in Eblin.
Ooh, these bad ogres mean business.
Yeah. Looking at the party setup, it's tough. However, Tella with his newly minted spells does have one very nifty spell for all 3 of these chests, and Palom can help slow the damage while Cecil keeps him alive.
Ooh, I know this one. It's Cure 4.
I believe Rhybon's just casting it now. It's Stone, which either does everything or nothing.
It depends who you are. If you were Pos Morpheus, this would miss repeatedly.
Pyre finishing up the character checks, also peeking the waterfall resetting, so I didn't catch it, but I believe it was non-required.
Nope, it was full-legged, meditating under the waterfall.
So now we know that any ruby sprites is the elements that we seek.
That's kind of fitting. Rubicon's kind of got that honorable thing going on. Doing a little meditation on waterfall, perfectly in character.
No tricks here. And Pyre checking out the Evelyn shop.
Potato, it was a silver apple.
The value. Well, that's like, what, 10k of money? If you
honestly,
were to...
50 HP on Porum's not a terrible thing.
Depends on what you need, but fair enough. Oh, and sirens are for sale, so levels are no issues. Along with something potentially more helpful with tents.
Wait, camping gear in Red Moon? In this economy?
Runex is another interesting thing to potentially keep in mind. Don't necessarily expect it to be bought, but always useful for the elements. With enough power gear, you can definitely skip elemental phases there.
Okay, that's not a holy sword, but I don't think anyone's upset to get a ribbon out of a chest.
No, especially with how Golbez is always required in these flag sets. Always good to be able to have someone who you know is going to live and can just veil up or help keep other people alive by having the little shadow dragon get confused at why it won't die. But Pyre also joining Rhybon in clearing Eblin Castle. Lots of money.
It looks like Pyre's just trying to get some initial loot before taking on the trap chests.
Yeah. Rhybon's party after the first Mad Ogres was a little rough. now has everyone sitting in critical HP with a full pile of defense on Cecil, who's just sort of gonna hop in front of all of them.
And I think we saw Rhybon hit 3 stone casts in a row here.
I don't know the exact odds. Tele being in the center slot helps a lot. However, that's still pretty good RNG on Rhybon's side, and good techniques on making sure that Tello is safe to keep on casting stones, even if it were to miss.
Arty arrows? We don't have any required bosses, or any objective bosses that those would be effective against.
However, many of the ruder gauntlets do involve some form of dragon. Feymarch with the clappers, many lunar ones with red dragons, blue dragons, gold dragons, silver dragons, or King Ryu's and King Ryu's.
Okay, after all those dragons, I was wondering if you were reading the gauntlet list or a D&D monster manual.
Is there a difference?
Given Final Fantasy's origins, not really.
Pyre also continuing with the plan of just stone everything. Works half the time, all the time.
I think with Vanilla Gear, it's right around half the time it should hit.
And Rhybon goes and finds another objective from Baron in.
That is a gross spot for Mom Mom.
Yeah, it turns from 400 or so HP into 10,400 or so, if I recall. And then explodes for about 300 to the party. But hey, on the bright side, kick. Or virus.
Yeah, the explode here does a decent amount of damage, and you're not stopping it at typical levels you're coming into Baron in.
So Rhybon's still
hunting
underground and discovering important things along the way. Pyre continues to finish the full Eblin clear, looking like he's going to finish where Rhybon started with the Mad Ogres.
I've been the same setup, just let Cecil tank everything.
But these initial levels very nice for the twins and Yang, and even Cecil. So always nice to get a bit more levels, bit more money, and sometimes it even pays out with the Holy Sword, but not this time.
No, but we know where sirens are, so the money itself is worth it.
Yep. If you're feeling a little spicier, potentially, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily do it, but as an option, we have underground access on Pyre's side. If the hook route isn't too difficult, you could always try diving it real fast, buying a whole bunch of sirens, 30 or so, and spend the next 10 minutes unlocking your party.
If you don't know where darkness is, 30 in a dream is not a terrible idea. Well, 29 I think is all you need, because Rydia's going to slingshot off the first one.
Always nice to save an extra 4,000, but also nice to have an extra one in case something goes a little bit wrong.
I don't know what you're talking about. I have never had to run from a grind fight because of things going awry.
You might not have to. You just might accidentally, if things go wrong, attempt to run buffer. And, well, that apparently only works in boss fights. And trap chests, because you can't run away from them.
Rather than Stonecast, Pyre has settled on the light everything on fire strategy here.
And
Fitting,
also
given the name.
looks like attempting to knock out the Tella, getting a little worried about the agility levels on Tella and wants to falling asleep.
That's dangerous.
That's not good.
Yeah, now don't get fancy, just end the fight. Your tank is taking a nap.
Get Boreas, very good. Item, weak to ice, still not quite there. This is... Kamikaze might do it. Healing Cecil. Fell asleep.
This is really bad for Pyre now.
Oh no.
I don't think Cecil ever wakes up.
Rhybon is and has to take a reset. Was that in a third tower, or are we going to have to redo the Mad Ogres potentially?
That shows how dangerous those Stalemen are.
Oh yeah. Of these overworld trap chests before underground, Mad Ogres may be in a little bit of trouble and able to ignore most magics of the non-stone or meteor variety, but the Stalemen punch hard, have a lot of health, and can just sort of put your party to sleep.
Yeah, the sleep status is the problem. Because unlike later Final Fantasy games, sleep doesn't break on damage.
And with this Ashura boss, Rhybon has now found 3 of the main 3 mage weakness enemies, and will no longer need mute knives or rune axes unless we have a Feymarch gauntlet.
Yeah, I think we are pretty much out of mages.
Rhybon doesn't quite know this. Still needs to check Antlion, Hobbs, and Fabul from the upper areas, along with Mist and I believe the Waterfall for the overworld. However, and we'll find the Mega Sisters, but for the most part, we've seen the elements, so we've seen all of the required ones gone, at least.
Yeah, that's fair.
And
Pyre is going to follow in Rhybon's footsteps now. Just take the Baron in, Baron Castle.
Yep, having cleared the rest, this is all that's left for Pyre on the overworld.
And you're still looking for... Well, you're still looking for the darkness.
Yep. Ashura's proving kind of annoying. However, with the Berserk and the Quake, should hopefully be able to skip the Tier 3 and Tier 4 phases.
Right,
and
I don't know where Rhybon found it, but Rhybon's got a light sword.
I believe there was a lightsaber somewhere in...
Was it the Sail? Was it the Sail and Baron, maybe? Thank you. Our tracker Fried Potato pointing out that it was for sale.
So, Baron shop. So Pyre, with the amount of money you likely looted in Eblin, will also, with no holy sword. If we find it, we'll likely upgrade Cecil's weaponry as well. And time to see what's in the Baron bin tonight.
What did the people of Baron decide? We don't need to say anymore, just chuck it away. That's a shiny rock. Why would someone throw that out?
Oh no, that sounds like it's a pretty important rock used for some of the greatest forges, including Lightbringer, Abel's Lance, Matsuno's Katana, or even scrap metal.
You're missing the more important part here. It's shiny.
I guess you would think that they would have thought it was worth something, but Ashura has no need for monetary gains. Ordered it thrown out when she assumed the throne.
Ah, that makes perfect sense.
And Rhybon peeking mist and finishing up the overworld here, where Pyre grabs the Luca key, the double required bosses, and will almost certainly head up in Baron.
Pyre's gonna check the shop. We'll find the light sword, so we're on weapon parity. Yep, immediately selling the farm for that.
Yep. Odin summon, Sylph summon, Silver Apple.
64 is not 66. You have to sell that. There you go.
So
Rhybon
finally receives the hook, knows how to get underground. So we'll see if we end up seeing Fabul or even the Odin throne before he takes his leave.
I like Wander Keeper's idea in chat about the Adamant Rock. Sid was using it on the airship and just misplaced it.
Happens to all of us. You leave it on your desk, some little kid or engineer, someone just knocks it off, maybe a pet. Are there any pets in Baron?
There's got to be some.
Or is the only animals they care about that whole crocodiles with their senate?
They probably have pet chocobos somewhere.
I mean, there's that forest down south. However, at this moment, no black chocobo.
Right, and we know those chocobos are friendly, so someone's got to be taking care of them.
Yeah. And Rhybon defends Fabul, will get a gun gear, but more importantly, a little more XP and the knowledge that there's no darkness in the easy checks that could be fading on your way out.
We actually see a little bit of the advantage of that curse ring on Rhybon's side already. Where Rhybon is just not caring if Tella survives fights, Pyre is trying to knock that Tella down first to prevent XP gains.
Poison! I bet if we had a cat claw, it would also be asleep.
It would.
Status effects and status procs, it's very interesting how they work in Final Fantasy IV. It's actually based on the ATB system, and as long as the enemy is at 0 ATB, I believe, when you hit them, you are guaranteed to proc something even as powerful as Stone or Death with on-hit effect.
We see that effect used often with, say, the Black Sword or the Assassin Dagger, which also conveniently give you extra speed, which makes it easier to set up non-full ATB bars.
Boom! As our restreamer S-Grunt says in chat. So, having finished up the checks that Pyre's done, Rhybon looks to have a very minor lead, only about a minute or two, but purchases the curse ring that he noted down when he first visited.
That curse ring is, I think, going to play a large role in this seed.
And it looks like Pyre starts out with a little bit of a life lock. As long as you're fast enough, if you go and hit Ashura immediately after every life, will just rotate faces and end up back at the life 1 face. you do that properly and consistently and will never heal, and so you'll just eventually whittle away the boss.
Right, it's a good way to get through a Sir if you don't have a wall cast or not willing to burn 2-star veils.
And looks like Free Enterprise 2 has just rated us. Hope you enjoy this race, and no spoilers from your race.
Right, we are 30 minutes into this, the third game of Rhybon versus Pyre. So far, we've had both runners fully clearing the overworld, except for Baron Basement, and we're just about to start on our hook routes.
Rhybon, having just cleared all of these mages, Mega Sisters, Ashura, elements, goes and purchases a rune axe. So I wonder if he's thinking about the potential of the Alt Gauntlet in the Fey March and the ability to potentially one-shot with the mage effectiveness, the sorcerers, before they summon.
Would be a good thing to think about.
And also buys Sork Robe and has a rune ring, so...
Would you like second cursed ring? I think somewhere there's a button being pressed for that.
50% refund. Ooh, Odin, that's another objective and a very interesting boss that has multiple ways this party could deal with it.
Yeah, you could leave a Thunderclaw. I do see Pyre making the basement check. Ew. No.
That bad?
It's orbs down there.
Not this party.
I know you like your super aggressive checks. You're not taking that one. That's gonna take a minute.
I've learned my lesson for that one. I've taken that one with Cecil as my Cure 2 healer. It almost didn't work. It was bad. Would not recommend, but I do see a Thunderclaw, so that'll come in handy, and looks like we'll be doing the damage routine.
But first, these guards. Palom is just going to laugh at them.
Quake. Nice buffer, allowing us to get the Quake before they go. Unfortunately, need just another 800 on each guard. So hopefully the party can help out with that before they murderize the party.
Now, the good news is Palom's got mage resist. And these guards, because they cast 2 spells, have to be mages.
Very well done. And I suspect we'll be a pivot of pour him into that first spot to get the Yang Zerked as soon as possible. Might even see Palom put in the anchoring position so we can get multiple Zerkers, but no.
To answer your question, chat, from Duke Darkwood, yeah, just don't spoil the race you came from if you came from Free Enterprise 2. And enjoy the race.
If you have any questions, anything we say if there's anything we say that's confusing or anything you want to learn, we'll be happy to do our best to answer the questions. But if we didn't have all of this power with 2.5k Lit 2, Thunderclaw Yang, and needed an alternative method, the Odins at this spot don't actually do too much damage. So with the Blink spell that we have and some slows, could potentially go for a Yangerstruck.
Yeah, what is this, 4 rolls here?
I don't know the exact number, but I believe it doesn't do more than 1200 HP. But with the Thunderclaw, just punch you a couple times and it'll crumble.
Ah, yes, just hit it until it stops moving. A valid strategy anywhere. I did a quick check. It's 5 rolls here, so yeah, it caps at 1200.
So, did you see if Pyre also had a Thunderclaw?
I have not checked. That's a Demus to top a tower.
That's
Kind of annoying because it's just a big ol' HP sponge up there. So you're hard pressed to skip Mist Phase. But it's also 2 key item checks, and you're missing Darkness.
I would definitely keep it in the back of my mind, but I definitely would do a lot of the easier checks, such as Pan Turn-ins, Dwarf, Feymarch Freebie, and any potential Feymarch bosses that seem easy enough for the party before heading there without the tower key.
Yeah, and as people are saying in chat, you have enough other stuff to do down here. That can wait.
Scrunt asking for rudeness where there's a tower key behind that Demus, but not at the top of tower.
And Rhybon taking some traps on the way down to bonk Yang with a pan. With the setup he has, this is fairly safe. Palom could just quake all the trap chests away before they get in action.
Yeah. It's like 1% or 2% less per chest than Edlin to get the Holy Swords. However, there are 7 trap chests, so if you really want that Holy Sword, don't want to have to rely on mages, want something a little beefier, this is the place for the runners to go to at the moment.
And with the speed you can get through these, with the setup Rhybon has, I think we're just going to see the ones on the way down to Yang. We're not going to see the back half move still. That takes forever to get to.
Yeah. The extra 2 minutes or so to fully clear there. Yes, it'll give you a little bit of extra levels, and if you don't have your sword yet, could provide that, but a little bit of a gamble to go there. There are other alternatives to getting a sword if you want one, such as the Pink Tail has about like a 2 and 9?
Somewhere around there. We did see the Rydia kit come from this room.
And it looks like Pyre is going for the alternative strat I mentioned of Thunderstruck Yang.
Pyre, I don't think, has a Thunderclaw.
No. Oh, or that's some big damage.
Pyre has it.
Deserved.
Just blinking for safety.
Yep.
This bot's still punchy.
Yeah, you don't want to take a punch.
Right, and 1 punch plus his Antatsuken will drop Yang, so blink for safety in case you don't quite get there in time.
Yeah. Good boost of levels, even more money, but still no Holy Swords. Where are they all hiding? Because that's what our third. That's like our 6th one with
7.
Close
We've
to
seen 4 traps down here now.
So that's our 7th, close to 10% chance of a Holy Sword, and still no Holy Sword.
And Pyre also unable to avoid the pitfall. That pitfall is just undefeated.
Yeah. I'd expect Pyre to also go and bonk Yang on the pan. However, without that curse ring, it's a lot tougher to. I don't believe.
No, if that Palom is not RA1, this Quake is not reliable, and that's a Holy Sword.
5th tries the charm, or 8th tries the charm if you count Evelyn.
Rhybon's got his Excal. He is happy with this.
Got Excal, got close to 3 or 4 Sirens of XP. Very happy. Whereas Pyre just goes and takes a couple of starter Sirens to help the party.
And the seed saying, so, do you really want to go up that tower? Here!
And there's that tower piece, so...
Yeah,
we'll be seeing at least half the tower.
We could just clear out this entire underworld in one pass.
Yeah, depends on how rude the Fey March is and how spicy you're feeling. If we choose to just sort of say, I am never going underground again, period.
Oh, this is nice for our runners. It's efficient. You can just clear it all in one go, never have to return. Unless you really want to forge. Which Pyre might if the forge comes up quickly enough.
Yeah. Couple good ones. Any of the Gigantacks or Lightbringer will help even Pyre out on the Holy Sword side. And you never can say no to a God Hand for Yang.
It's a Baigen at the first war spot. Not terrible.
No, Palom can quake the arms, do a little arm grind, bonk it away. However, the initial barrage of punches it's not great. And Rhybon will follow through, but the Holy Sword will likely speed things up. Up a pan bonk, up a little XP, and up the tower key. But...
And the biggest thing, up an Excalibur. That's just gonna...
It's still a tight race either way, though.
The best thing for Pyre is for darkness to come from right here.
That would be big. However, with darkness, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That would be Rhybon's 7th key item. You still have Feymarch, you still have some Feymarch, you still have all that tower, you still have the pan. I could very easily see us reaching 10 key items not too far from now.
Right, my reasoning there is...
Yes, hitting 8 key items and going to the moon.
Right, my reasoning there is the longer Pyre waits to get a grind and get the longer, that's more time that Rhybon has the advantage in power.
And we see the armadillos and tortoises.
We knew this was Gauntlet because we saw Water Hag on Ordeals.
Yeah. Rhybon with the Cursed Ring could have had a good setup, but goes and worries a bit more about the first spot, which does typically punch harder, has more health, more magic, but is slower, so wants the faster anchor to make sure that spot is easy. At the cost of this spot will be a bit slower because it's the Gauntlet.
Answer a question in chat while we're fighting the Gauntlet. Yeah, you could run this. You don't have to race. You could just casually run, make your own flag set, do whatever. I'd recommend if you're going to generate from the site, do say a beginner flag set to start things off, then build wherever you want from that.
And one thing on your first playthrough, just sort of talk with everyone. A lot of the NPCs in the game have their dialogue changed. Always fun to see some of the new things, and they'll help explain a couple different things about the randomizer, I believe.
Right, and some of the NPCs speak some truths, like, hook routes are in fact the worst.
But we see both runners on the same fight of the same Gauntlet. So, at 46 minutes into the race, very exciting one so far.
If we're going to be even on bosses still, at 5 apiece. So for anyone in chat wondering why we're fighting just a string of what seems to be random encounters here, we have a flag called the Alt Gauntlet. Normally when you defend football, you fight a series of 6 battles. I think 3 of them are like General Fighter, then there's 2 with a bunch of monsters and a gargoyle.
Yep.
Instead,
it's a Siren, Water Hag, and one other monster.
Right. But instead, with the Alt Gauntlet, it takes 5 random encounters from the area, and that's what you fight instead.
You can always add a bit of spice, especially when it's in later areas such as the Moon of Giant. Or other times it gives you random encounters that you may have not seen in a long time if it's in some of the earlier locations like Mist or Waterfall. But 5 objectives down, only 2 more. Still have 3 earthly checks available, 4 earthly checks that we have access to for bosses. How close to a Jetish seed do you think we are?
I think we're there. That was a Darkness Crystal, so we have access to all but Zot 2, the Twin Harp, the package.
And that's it. It's very likely that these runners are in go mode and just need to go and figure out where the bosses are hiding.
And from Pyre buying 2 Charm Rods, I think we know what's coming next.
Rhybon also going straight to Racing the Well. Take the minute to think and figure out. Pyre buys Ethers. Rhybon hasn't even turned in the pan, but who knows? He might be getting set.
At 7 key items, the pan can only get you to 9, so it's not enough to get the XP bonus.
However, if Pyre finds a key item here, bonks Yang and turns in the pan, getting 2 from there, that would in fact be enough for 10 key items. So if Rhybon chooses to start a D-Machine grind now, it looks like he's turning in the pan.
Was that a Protect Ring from the Fingmarch freebie?
That was in fact a Protect Ring. Cute, but not a key item.
Yeah, useful. Doesn't get us any closer.
It's time to see if there's any free fights or required fights. Or fights we don't want to fight. Oh.
That one on the right is most certainly in a good spot for it.
Well now. That's boss number 6.
Yep.
I think I might be agreeing with you on the jet thing.
I think we're going to see Pyre take that, and then go to the Giant and take a grind.
Wonder if we're going to see the Piggy and mini spells cast.
There's 2 minis. I believe both runners have a ribbon, so they can block Golbez's instant death.
True. Pyre may have forgotten about it, or just not quite put 2 and 2 on. Doesn't need to piggy the person who has it, but even if you do have the ribbon, preventing the paralysis effect with the piggy and size is helpful.
So I know we've got some newer players in chat, so the reason why we're putting Piggy and Size on our characters first is because this game has a status priority system where, as you just saw, being in Piggy or Mini prevents the hold gas from paralyzing your party.
Yeah. And I was busy looking at Pyres. Did we see anything from we appear to have gotten a spoon, and that appeared to be it from turning in the pan.
It was a spoon and nothing else of consequence.
So even if we get a key item for Pyre, we'll only end up with 9.
That's
without
correct.
other...
Unless it's rat tail into something else.
Unless it's... With 9, I wonder if we'll see Pyre do a half a full tower, trying for 10, or if we see Pyre do a grind at all.
I think at 6 bosses, you do a half tower play. You can see the magic here is very, very high. Seeing how much damage that reflected Lick 3 just did.
Even Porum, with what I believe is some pretty solid magic defense at this point, takes 800 from Fire 2.
But this spot having 25,000 HP and very high magic means reflected spells are going to dispatch the full beds relatively quickly.
And we're through. Boss number 6 for Pyre, and Gold Apple.
Okay, let's be honest here. The real reward was getting another boss lit up.
Very unlikely. I don't think we ever see either runner take the sparkle or even peek it until the worst comes to pass.
You don't need any lunar sparkles. That sparkle you just stay there forever.
It stays there till the steed determines it doesn't stay there.
No, it looks like Pyre's just gonna go straight for the grind.
Well, with only 6 key items, you're never going to hit 10 from the pan. And with the Darkness Crystal, yes, you're still missing 4 slots, but might need to just get the grind going now.
Pyre launching the whale, and we'll probably be picking up we'll probably make the party look very, very similar to Rhybon's.
Yeah, Rhybon having chosen to go X-Cal White Mage double nuke, getting rid of the Porum, use the Porum as a bridge, help you with the early game until you are ready to slingshot multiple characters.
Yeah, I would definitely take a slingshotted Rosa here over a Porum that's not getting one.
Slingshotting is a mechanic input in the randomizer. In many seeds, you're finding characters throughout various checks, even the Giant or the Moon. But they still come at the levels you would normally get in. And a level 1 Rydia doesn't do much. When you go and find Rydia on the Moon, it's very unlikely that Rydia can help out. So a mechanic was put into play where if a character is 5 levels less than the average level of the party, then the character gets double XP.
I'm not sure if that was intentional on Pyre's side.
What happened?
Unless there's some name exchange going on, I'm fairly certain Pyre just got rid of Palom.
Oh. So we're going to end up with Nuke double white on Pyre's side. Less aggressive, but can maybe be a little bit safer for some of the Moon fights, but we'll see how that works out.
Yeah. And we see Pyre setting up the manipulation on the blue planet to get this Steam Machine fight. And that's quick.
Oh, how close are we?
That is 1E on the chart.
Oh.
So one more fight here, then to the Giant.
as long as it doesn't get screwed up, because I know that the west of Mysidia has a couple different encounter charts that you can run into. I don't know whether or not we did, but that has in the past created a couple issues for some runners. But Rhybon continuing to do the grind, and we'll end up with all of the important spells by the end.
Yep, we've got dueling D machine grinds here. This is just so the mechanics of this is simple. You hit the searcher, you cast weak on the D machine, which reduces it to 1 to 9 HP. You bonk the D machine, and it goes away.
Yeah. The big thing that is going to affect the number is that slingshot mechanic where the characters are 5 levels below the average, getting double. One reason you do the machine grind instead of something different, say Sirens, is you can shorten your grind by taking these low-level characters, creating this encounter that summons other encounters, work your way through it, and you'll end up with a large pile of XP, typically about 500,000 by the end of it, and that just gets doubled. Or sometimes if you have double XP, it just adds up real fast for the party and for the slingshot targets especially.
There is one more step to that. You also throw a life potion or the life spell at the D machine as it's dying in order to get twice the experience from it. This is known as the life glitch.
Yep. Cecil hitting for 1,900 damage, finishing the fight thanks to the curse ring, doesn't have to worry about Tella's agility. And all the spells are coming in. Here 4, life 2, white, 12 levels for Palom. Not quite nuke, but looks like Gridea is going to be at exact nuke levels. Rhybon may take the Elements fight if it's easy enough to finish the grind, or may end up just expecting the other needed fights to finish the XP. Only needs 3 more levels, or about... Is that about 100,000 more XP on Palom?
Not sure. I do not have Palom's XP curve memorized. My apologies.
I think it's about... You're typically getting... at 10 key items... At under 10 key items, it's about 3 eggs from this point, if I recall. But...
And we see... Well, that's about as free as it gets.
You take it, there's another fight you get to peek, and this... If it doesn't finish it, will get us very close to a second nuke caster.
Yeah, I think we're just letting the script play out here.
Yeah... 65,000 or 50,000 or whatever the king is, they a lot to rush.
They have 52,000 apiece. We're just gonna let the script run. So in the vanilla game, yeah, they threaten to send you to Hades. The king casts fire 2-3 times, and then they go into the, hey, I recognize you, and the fight ends. Same thing happens here.
With this party, who do they recognize?
Palom. Yeah, that red cloak, that's her son.
Close enough. Who knows? Do we know how old or young Edge was when they were kidnapped and experimented on? Maybe
probably
it
didn't happen that long ago, so still in his 20s.
Darn. Stack of Ether Ones helping restore the MP for Pyre's grind. Rhybon either also found either ones or just used the starting elixirs to ensure it's done, and that's go mode.
That's... Rhybon needs to get to the Fey March ASAP after this.
It's gonna be scary if Rhybon chooses to go to the moon instead with the 6 checks versus the 4 checks he has down underground.
And best case if Rhybon goes to the moon is that the turtle's waiting in Cave Valley.
Also, speaking of, you know how I mentioned Val can see an awkward fight with the mage party we may end up building? Here's Val, your mage party.
Val here, while spinning, has perfect magic defense. All those mages, well, they can support Cecil while Cecil swings at her.
So, a little worrisome for Rhybon. There's not over. Pyre needs to go and through the King Queen Evelyn and choose to finish the giant, and Rhybon still has the opportunity to check Fey March if he's worried about that proving an issue. And we don't know where the 8th boss is. Could be anywhere.
Rhybon powered straight through that Valvalis. Very well done.
That fight's definitely going to be a little more difficult. Well, not more difficult. We have
it will be slower for Pyre because Excal just hits harder than Light Sword.
We do have 3 blink casters on Pyre's side, so don't expect to see too much difficulties per se, but will be a slower fight.
Exactly. It's not 3 blink caster. That Val really can't, kill you, but can still really, really annoy you.
And Rhybon heading underground, so that will be good for him.
Yep, Rhybon saying, hey, I haven't gone to the Fey March yet. And heading straight there, we'll be very, very happy to find the Golbez sitting at Asura.
Yeah. And one reason for Rhybon to check the Fey March, if you went to the moon, yes, it's 6 versus 4 for available. But when you go and count the unavailable 3 checks, it's 6 versus 7. It's like 6 versus 7. Without that pass, you don't want to double walk. It's a tight gamble to go straight to the moon.
The other thing coming down here first, you can see the 2 bosses. You don't have to walk up to the altars and start the fights.
Yeah. So Golbez will be even faster potentially with Nuke. Depends on who's left alive. The I think the X-Cow does extra damage unless that's just the Crystal Sword.
Golbez is weak to holy damage, which every holy sword does.
So we'll expect to see it. Big numbers come out against Golbez from Golbez and to Golbez to help have a slightly faster fight.
And
however,
through this grind,
it's still Golbez. So this is going to be tight. King Queen E, Evelyn, I think we're going to see Golbez finishing up around when Pyre potentially enters the Val.
Alright, so this is going to be tight to the finish. You'd love to see for a Game 3.
Yeah, it could come down to the decision to have double white mage versus double black mage. But either way, both runners, I suspect, have a good chance.
Honestly, finding that X-Scalp may have turned out to be huge just for speeding up the Valvalis fight. And, well, the Gauntlet came beforehand.
And we have Hela. But I suspect there is a veil up on Talum, so we are through the fight and nuking it to death.
Probably the second best character to survive.
And Pyre, Artemis bows short arrows. Oh, Artemis arrows. You love to see it. But Pyre doing the smart thing and on his way out casting Warp. Warp speeds up a lot of the exits. However, if you go and walk to the elements, then walk out, you would warp to the elements room, then warp back. So by warping out of the elements room, if the elements isn't a fight, you save yourself a couple warp animations on your way out.
And there we see Rhybon first with Crystal in hand.
And getting his gold apple.
And Pyre is just going to warp out of the giant, not going to find that Valvalis.
That's tough. At this point, Pyre really needs to, whatever the next location he heads to hit, because Rhybon's about to be on his way to Zemus.
Oh, we know there's a Valvalis hiding back there.
Pyre does not. And although it's not the long fight, it still is a while to sit through for only one more boss check versus the 6 on the moon.
Yeah, Duke Darkwood, King Queen Evelyn was sitting at elements.
And we see both runners heading to the moon at the same time. However, only one of them has the crystal.
So, Pyre if this is exactly Kinazo here, we've got a race on our hands.
If this is Kinazo with the pass, those 30 seconds, I think the pass, 30 to a minute, the pass would say, are very important to Pyre at this point. But, alright, who is the boss?
That's a Sparkle.
Not required. But Pyre is very much hoping that the final boss is somewhere on the LST for him.
Yep. That's the play Pyre's decided to make. So
yeah,
we're gonna see what's up here.
From our side, we know it's maybe not the fastest play. However,
it's a completely logical play.
Is a faster boss than the Val would have been.
Yes, and it's a logical play. You know, you're saying, I don't think it's at Giant 2. I think I'm going to play the higher odds that's in one of these 6 spots on the moon.
Nope. Karate Man, free, fast,
Karate.
but still not it.
Karate, notably, not a turtle. Nor, from Pyre's point of view, is Karate a tornado. At least I don't think.
The outfits don't match either. There's a little more clothes on the karate side.
But I think, we're seeing some Z flags in chat.
Yeah, people are really wondering who are really cheering for Zemus. They want that Zemus fight to go and be rude, be mean. They're just really rooting for Zemus here.
Yep.
His own personal cheerleaders.
Hey, You know, even antagonists and villains have their own tier sections.
Yeah, but Zemus is a tough fight. Lots of stuff goes into the creation of him with all of his counterattacks, big bangs, viruses. He does a lot of really mean things. So at a lot of locations, it would be weird to trivialize him by going and only giving him 1,000 HP, or just put him there to just cast Big Bang on your party for issues. Plus the whole crystal shebang. We don't move him, but instead we go and randomize his sprite. Was it 500, 600?
Yeah, it's somewhere in that range.
So pretty much whenever we see Zemus, we ask whose butt we're gonna kick.
And it's okay. Chad, I need some help.
Largamus.
I have no idea what. Yoshi's Island 2. Okay.
Very cute, although his eyebrows are angry. And Pyre, unfortunately, has yet to find the turtle, but still a couple chances for him on the moon.
You're talking about guys being angry. I have other questions about those eyebrows. Like, what are they attached to?
The eyes. I think. However, Rhybon is doing standard reflect strats. Zemus can only have 61,000 due to coding limitations. However, that's not quite enough for the final boss, they decided. So if you go and directly hit him after what is it, 42,000?
Yes, once you deal 45,000 total damage, the next direct damage attack would cause Zemus' HP to fully refill. The problem, reflected spells do not trigger counter scripts.
So runners have determined that, hey, let's go and have all these casters. Let's just reflect spells, avoid the nukes, makes casters real useful, and can speed up the fight a lot. Ogopogo at Crystal Sword is very rude, but is not a turtle. So now Pyre needs to go and find key items at this point.
Yep. Kinatsu, not on the moon. So, could be inside Luca, could be behind Twin Harp, Zot.
Power key, package.
Yes, we have fully checked the moon. There was a Vanilla Plague, an Officer Soldier here. I missed what was that. The other altars, but...
Calbraina dolls at
Thank you.
the Ogopogo, and Ogopogo at Crystal Sword. So a lot of free fights for the most part with Karate Man, Officer Soldiers, Plague, and the dolls.
But we see by that crack and shake that Zemus is down on Rhybon's side, so GG's to Rhybon, taking game 3 of this match.
GG's, and Rhybon will be moving on to the finals of the Red Moon waxing brackets.
And we are joined by Rhybon. GG's, Rhybon.
Hey Dave, thanks. Wow, what a scene.
Yeah, you played this one incredibly well.
I'm pretty happy with my play tonight. I mean, got a little lucky, of course. I'm like, oh, at 6 bosses. There's 6 bosses on the moon. I should go check that. Wait, I never checked Fame March. Let me just pop my head in there for like 40 seconds to check. Oh, hey, it's go mode. But I was really like struggling with that decision. But otherwise, yeah, wasn't too bad.
Yeah. Overall, how did you feel when you started seeing the characters showing up as you kept on checking character after character?
I saw a lot of mages, and of course, with that starting Tella, I'm thinking, well, I'm looking for a darkness crystal. I mean, sure, a crystal would be great. 7 bosses would be great, but a darkness crystal would be really good. Unfortunately, it was underground, and I just wanted to keep at least 2 characters in reserve for slinging. So that was Rydia and Rosa in this case. Decided to take Porum because Twin is great early game. and early blink, early berserk is good enough to get through a hook route. So she served her purpose, but once that darkness showed up, it's like, yeah, let's go.
Hey, speaking of underground, we have some great news. Yay! We can get underground now.
Yay! I am so glad that became a thing.
Shortly before you said that, we did see the magnet key get picked up.
Yeah, I saw on the spoiler log that it is in living room, right?
Yes.
So-
Also, speaking of underground, what was your thoughts when you ended up seeing a D-Mist at the top of the tower? Did you almost ever have a temptation to go and take it, especially once you found the tower key?
There was a temptation to, but I wanted to route in Dwarf first, just because it's 2 boss checks, and the D-Mist is not necessarily a boss that I need. So once that darkness showed up, pretty much any idea of key items just was thrown out of the window. Sure, D-Mist could have something cool, but I'm missing, a Twin Harp, an Earth Crystal, and a package, which is 3 bosses locked to me. In 99% of situations, I think the bosses I need are available to me, so that D-Mist has just lost a lot of value. Especially, I didn't have a great way to kill it. I did find that X-Cal in Silk Cave, which is nice, but it's still going to do reduced damage to D-Mist, so I can't just Zerk up and kill it before it goes into Mist form. So it's going to take, some controlled attacks. It's going to take some quakes in order to get through it, and that's just a bit of a time investment.
So you brought it up, and it's something I was going to ask about. Those Sylph traps.
Yeah.
Is that something you just decided on doing as soon as you got underground?
I got an RA1 Palom with Quake, and I have a Pan. Let's play the lottery. And played I did. I kind of won with that X-Cal, but it ended up being mostly pointless this seed. Because immediately after doing that Pan, I went to Dwarf and found the Darkness Crystal, and I'm like, well, X-Cal is nice, but Nuke is nicer right now, so let's go D-Machine instead.
I would argue it wasn't pointless at all, given what was at Giant 2.
Yeah, the X-Cal definitely sped up that fight a bit compared to the Light Sword that I had, but I don't think as much as the time I invested into the Silk Trap chest. So the entire time I was, beating up that Val, I like that I have this X-Cal, but if I didn't have it and I still had the Light Sword, maybe this fight takes 30 seconds longer, 40 seconds longer, but I spent way more than 30 and 40 seconds to get through those Silk Traps, so maybe I gave some time back to Pyre at that situation.
Yeah. So, GG's on winning this race. It was definitely a very fun one to watch. What are your thoughts regarding now that you're in the finals? You have 2 very tough opponents you could potentially be against. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on how you're going to prepare for the finals at this point?
Oh, gee. Well, first, my thought is I never thought I would ever make the finals in any tournament whatsoever. I just started playing about a year and a half ago with a Pink Puff along with Dave, who kicked my butt in the Pink Puff League in Season 1. So to make the finals is, I guess my luck is going to run out eventually, and it may as well run out in the finals. I didn't watch the race earlier today between Solaris and Possum, so I don't know who I won. Or who won. I don't know who my opponent's going to be, but I am frightened of everyone that I could possibly face. I'm frightened of Pyre. I'm still frightened of Pyre. I got a little lucky today because he apparently did not do Giant 2 or take that King Queen Evelyn fight, and I did, so better lucky than good in this situation. But my luck's going to run out eventually, and whether it's against Possum or Solaris, I'll do my best, and it'd be an honor to lose to either one of them.
Oh, you've played great so far throughout this tournament, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the finals.
I'll try to put on a decent showing.
I'm sure it's going to be a very incredibly exciting set of matches from in the finals. Can't wait to watch them.
Mm-hmm. Although I will give a little spoiler. If Possum ended up winning, I did have a bit of a gentleman's agreement with him. So you may see that in Game 1 if he ends up being my opponent. I didn't have it with Solaris, though, so we'll see what happens.
A little preview, a little mystery going into it.
Something may happen Game 1.
always something.
Mm-hmm.
We approve of shenanigans around here.
Of course.
Do you have any other questions, NG
Nope.
Dave?
Oh, we're going to let you get on your way. Enjoy the rest of your night, Rhybon, and again, GG's and welcome to the finals.
Of course. Thank you. Dave, Joe, much appreciated. Can't wait to watch this back. Grunt, thank you for rolling the seed, which, gave me the option to do Berserkers. Ended up doing Mages, but I like the option anyway. Potato for pushing all the buttons, and once again, GG to Pyre, and looking forward to him kicking my butt on the ladder next season. But y'all have a good night. Talk to you later.
And we are joined by Pyre. GG's on a run, Pyre.
GG, thank you.
What were your thoughts as you started going through the world and collected the characters at the beginning of the seed?
I was happy to see the twins to make it through the seed or the main seed at a decent clip before I could get Cecil and Tella online to get into some levels from the Eblin Castle to get at least some Palom up to Quake, even though that was one a little tough. But otherwise, the overworld was pretty standard with the twins.
So, I have a question I'm curious about. Your party selection at the end, what was the choice what was the driving factor between the twins you chose to take?
You mean when I went to D Machine?
Yeah.
Oh, Palom would have taken 19 D Machines to get him up to Nuke, and I didn't have that many life pots, and it would have taken forever, so I decided to dump him in favor of just to keep up Porum, because she could have got to White a little faster.
Okay. That makes perfect sense. I was kind of curious about that one.
Yeah, if I found live pots, I would have kept Palom, but I never did.
What were your thoughts throughout as you kept on finding some of those bosses very, very fast in the seed, and the bosses just sort of came, and then having to find the last couple bosses? What were your thoughts with where the bosses were?
Well, with Darkness showing up, and I haven't gone down Pan yet, I decided to run down Fey March to check, and of course there was a Golbez in a free spot. So after the D Machine, I figured the Moon would be the best bet after I erroneously reset out of King Queen and decided to run with it. But typically, when we get down to the last two bosses, I can usually find something on the Moon.
Usually, but probability doesn't like to work right sometimes.
It certainly doesn't.
I think it's more the randomizer looks at it probably says, I don't care.
Yeah, you don't want to check this easy to spot get to? You're going to be punished.
Or just the sheer number of foo seeds we've seen.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, speaking of foo seeds, how happy were you to see a Cecil start versus any of the others? Or is that your favorite start of the three at the moment, the one you wanted most, or what were you thinking with the starting character?
Cecil is I don't actually. I think he's he's my least favorite of them all. I prefer an Edge or a Foo start because I really like Foo, and Edge is good to get just moving quickly because I like faster seeds. Cecil, you always have that risk is like, oh, if my opponent gonna find a crystal sword, I'm gonna have to check all these chests type thing. And he's pretty slow to start as well because you gotta get up ordeals before you can really get him going.
So, not your favorite potential seed, but you still played very well with what the seed gave you.
Thank you.
With this loss, you're going to be ending up moving down to the waning brackets. What are your thoughts with the break between, and what are you going to do anything to prepare, or what are your thoughts going on for the future now?
Not sure. I'll probably just play async here and there because I think it's a few weeks before my next match, if I remember right. So
Yeah, I was
just to keep from getting too rusty.
just looking now. Next week will be waning round 4. Your next match will be in waning round 7.
So yeah, I got a ways yet.
You get a little break.
Yep. So I'll probably just do an async here and there just to keep the rusties away. But as far as my playing itself, I'll probably just try to keep on doing what I'm doing, or try to play my game anyway.
And your game's always a fun one to watch, from what I've
Yeah,
seen in these races.
Thanks. I try my best.
Your game has been fantastic so far.
Yeah, I just hope to keep learning and keep trying to get better little by little.
Do you have any other questions, NG Dave? Or
No, I think we're good. We'll let you have the rest of the night.
Thanks. All right. Thanks all, and talk to you guys later.
Have a good night.
Bye.
So, that was a great race, wasn't it?
yeah, very, very fun one. Thanks, S Grunt, for rolling us that seed. Lots of fun to watch the runners. And thank you, Potato, for pushing the buttons so we knew what was going on whenever these runners were like, click, 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 click. Oh, there's a Mega Week. Wait, what'd they get?
Yes, that's a big thank you to them, and thank you to you as well, Judge Joe, for joining me in here. But we're not done with Free Enterprise. We will be heading over to visit Tall Grant, who is currently running an async RD5BMR. I'm fairly certain there's some code in there. I'm just not sure what it is.
It's part of S Grunt's Looters Anonymous asyncs that he's testing out for the new club season.
Right. So after this tournament's over, we will have a bunch of clubs with various flag sets. Some of them straightforward, most of them wacky in some way.
So, if you don't want to get spoilers for that async, if you think it would be a fun one to run, now's the time to tune out. Otherwise, thank you for watching, and hope you keep on enjoying the Free Enterprise tonight. And make sure not to spoil the results of this race.